If you're deciding between Emerald Isle and Topsail Island, there's one difference that most buyers don't fully understand until after they've already bought the house. And by then, it's very expensive to fix. I'm Denis Raczkowski. I live oceanfront in Emerald Isle. I relocated here in October 2016. And I help people make that same move every day. All my contact information is below, and I respond to every message. In this video, we're comparing Bogue Banks and Topsail Island, two barrier islands that share a coastline, but serve very different people in very different ways. Let's dive in. Bogue Banks is a barrier island in Carteret County off the central North Carolina coast. Topsail Island is roughly an hour south, straddling Onslow and Pender counties. Both are classic barrier islands, ocean on one side, sound on the other, and a bridge that marks the transition from the everyday world to something quieter. But how they function as places to live is different. Bogue Banks has several incorporated towns: Atlantic Beach, Pine Knoll Shores, Indian Beach, Salter Path, and Emerald Isle. But one dominant identity: it's a residential barrier island, and Emerald Isle is where most full-time relocation buyers ultimately land. That's the reference point I'll use throughout this comparison. Topsail Island doesn't work that way. It has three distinct towns, and each one occupies a unique and different position in the market in terms of price, character, infrastructure, and risk profile. If you're evaluating Topsail Island, you're not making one decision, you're making three. Surf City sits in the middle of Topsail Island and functions as its service center. It's the most commercially developed of the three towns. Grocery stores, restaurants, retail. Which means if you're living on Topsail Island full-time, this is where your daily infrastructure lives. For some buyers, that's exactly what they want. Barrier Island living without having to plan around limited services. Pricing sits in the middle range for the island. More accessible than Topsail Beach to the south, generally higher than much of North Topsail Beach to the north. The housing market is mixed. Single-family homes, older cottages, newer construction. But if your priority is living on the island with practicality built in, Surf City makes a strong case. Topsail Beach sits on the southern end of Topsail Island. It's the smallest of the three towns and the most residential in character. Older cottages, smaller lots, a quieter pace. There's a loyalty among buyers here. People who specifically want this end of the island because it feels established, not developing. Prices run higher than many expect. In fact, it carries the highest median prices on Topsail Island. That's not about size or amenities, it's about scarcity. Very few homes change hands here in a given year. And when they do, demand concentrates quickly. The honest comparison to Emerald Isle is this. Both are quiet, residential, and command premium for that quality. The difference is scale and infrastructure. Emerald Isle is a 12-mile wide town with more inventory, more amenities, and a stronger year-round support structure. Topsail Beach is smaller, more intimate, and more isolated. Whether that's a feature or a limitation depends entirely on how you plan to live. If you're trying to figure all this out before you even get in the car or board a plane, I have put together a guide that breaks down how year-round life actually works here. Housing, insurance, cost realities. Just text the word guide to 919-308-2292 and I'll send it to you. Can't seem to carve out time from your busy schedules or have fewer vacation days? Seek clarity before you visit? This guide is for you. Now let's keep going. North Topsail Beach sits on the northern end of the island. It's the most remote, the least commercially developed, and generally the lowest price entry point on Topsail Island. For buyers drawn to seclusion and a quieter footprint, it has real appeal. But before you fall in love with a property here, there are specific things you need to understand, because this is where expensive mistakes happen. Start with the physical reality. North Topsail Beach has a minimal dune profile. On a landscape this flat, storm surge doesn't stop at the beach. It can wash completely across the island to the sound side. Think of it like a billiard table. There's nowhere for the water to stop. That's not theoretical. It's fact. Hurricane Fran in 1996 overwashed nearly all of North Topsail Beach. So did Hurricane Florence in 2018. A storm doesn't need to be a direct hit to cause complete inundation here. And that leads to the second issue, financial exposure. A large portion of North Topsail Beach falls within a CBRA zone, meaning those properties are not eligible for federal flood insurance or federal funding for beach renourishment. So the financial burden shifts to the property owner. Ka-ching, ka-ching. That's the part that doesn't show up in listing photos. Bottom line, you cannot evaluate North Topsail Beach as a uniform market. You have to evaluate specific addresses, confirm CBRA status, understand flood insurance options, and know what these costs actually look like before you move forward. If your agent isn't walking you through all that, you have a gap in your representation. Emerald Isle commands a premium. Median home values sit roughly in the mid to upper $800,000 range, reflecting limited inventory, strong relocation demand, and a more established infrastructure. The entry point for a livable year-round home is higher here than anywhere on Topsail Island. Topsail Island, on the other hand, offers a lower acquisition cost, but the spread across the three towns matters. Topsail Beach carries the highest median prices due to scarcity. Surf City sits in the middle range. North Topsail Beach shows the lowest entry prices, but part of that discount reflects the physical and financial risks we just talked about. Lower purchase prices do not automatically mean better value. Sometimes it means that the costs are going to show up elsewhere. And now for my Denis Fit Test. Bogue Banks, and Emerald Isle specifically, is probably the right fit if you want to barrier island with one dominant residential identity, a clear infrastructural model, and a market you can understand without parsing town-by-town risk. If you want island living to feel like a feature, not something you have to manage, and if you're comfortable paying a higher entry price in exchange for a more predictable long-term ownership experience. Topsail Island is probably the right fit if lower acquisition costs matter, and you're willing to do the homework. Surf City fits if you want more on-island infrastructure. Topsail Beach fits if you want a smaller, quieter, more established residential feel. North Topsail Beach requires a different level of due diligence entirely around CBRA status, insurance, and physical risk. If you're not doing that work up front, you're guessing. And this is not a market where guessing works. If you're still not sure which island or town this fits you, there's a link below to book a call with me. I'm curious, if you were moving to the North Carolina coast, would you choose Emerald Isle on Bogue Banks or one of the three towns on Topsail Island? Let me know in the comments. I read every one. If you found this helpful and you're thinking about buying or living anywhere along the North Carolina coast, I have a free resource for you. Text the word free to 919-308-2292, and I'll send you my book, The Outer Banks Beach Buyer Guide. It walks you through the realities of coastal living so you can make smart decisions before you move. When you subscribe to this channel, you're joining a small but growing group of people who value clarity over hype and who help shape what I cover next. You can also check out this next video where I break down oceanfront versus soundfront in Emerald Isle. Another decision most people do not fully understand until it's too late. I'll see you there.